What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the JDW Sports Talk Show, where every fan is welcome. And today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys and predicting their 2021 schedule, going through every opponent, going through every game, giving you my overall thoughts on who I think they're going to be, who I think they're going to lose to. So, let me know what you guys think. What record do you think the Dallas Cowboys are going to have? I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to go pretty far in the regular season, but the postseason, I don't think they're going to do well at all. That's mainly because of their offense. They have a really explosive offense, man. The Cowboys' offense is really darn good. The defense, on the other hand, is a little different. Not a big fan of the defense. They do have some players, that has a lot of potential. I think this is a defense that can hold down some big plays. They have some safeties that they brought in, and Keanu Neal and Devontae Casey, because Dan Campbell is coming in as a defensive coordinator, so he's brought in some of his old former players from Atlanta. And these are two players that have a lot of potential to be really good if they could come back and stay healthy. Devontae Casey was a really good safety a few years ago. Keanu Neal was looked after as one of the better safeties coming up in the league, but injuries derailed that. So maybe Dan Campbell, former coach, can get them back on the track and can make that safety do what one of the better safety duos in the league will happen. I think that's very low percentage type of prediction, but it's something that could happen. Something that could happen, and I do like Trayvon Diggs. And I do think those linebackers were going to be much better than they were last year. They just had a rough year with injuries and all that kind of stuff. The defensive line, you got some playmakers. DeMarcus Lawrence, really it. Offense side of the ball, of course, great receivers. They're really deep at the receiver group. Tight end, they're okay. Dalton Schultz, they're okay. The offensive line, if the offensive line can stay healthy, it's a really good offensive line. Running back group, you have who do you have at the running back? Oh, Zeke and Tony Pollard. Is Zeke gonna have his comeback year? I think he will. I think he will bounce back and be a really good player this year. But if not, they do have Pollard to come in and back him up. And as we've seen, Pollard has some really high potential there as well. So then week one, they travel to Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers, of course, reigning Super Bowl champs. Season opener, week one. So on Thursday night, NBC. Gonna be a fun game. Two big name teams, but I'm ultimately gonna have the reigning Super Bowl champs come away with the W in week one in the season opener. I'm not a big fan of the Cowboys defense, and I think that's gonna be the difference. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers they're so balanced. They have so much pass rush. The linebackers are really good. They're really good as well. The cornerbacks can use a little work, so maybe if the Cowboys can play some small ball on them, maybe that Cowboys team can maybe find a way to upset them, but I don't think so. Tom Brady in prime time. Really balanced team, really good cast around him. I don't see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers dropping their first game. Week one versus the Dallas Cowboys at home. I just don't see it. Week two, travel to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. So they travel like across the country, big time, and I think this is gonna be a tough game for them just because of how much they're traveling already. But at the same time, you do have to take that into some consideration because that does make a difference. If a team's gonna travel from, say, New Jersey, from playing the Giants or the Meadowlands, and then they gotta go fly over to Los Angeles. That is a difficult stretch right there, and usually they're gonna struggle. But this Cowboys offense is a really good offense. The Chargers offense is a really good offense. I think this is gonna be a really fun game. Week two, this is gonna be an awesome game. Week two, but I'm gonna have the Cowboys come away with this win. I think that the Cowboys have maybe the Cowboys offense line does start to struggle with injuries already. We don't know, but odds are it's gonna be healthy still, and it's gonna be able to and they're going to be able to run the ball and keep that offense off the field for the Chargers, and then maybe that defense can mess with Justin Herbert a bit. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys in week two, so I have them starting 1-1 first 2 weeks. Not too bad. Week three, they come home to play the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to take the Cowboys in this one, man. I'm not a big fan of the Eagles team. I really don't see much there. If Jalen Hurts is decent, I mean, the team will be a little better, but, the offense line is aging. They have injury concerns. Their wide receivers they're still very unknown. I do like Devontae Smith. He was one of my favorite receivers coming out last year, of course. I'm just not a big fan of this Philadelphia team. They're gonna be a bottom five team in the NFL, in my opinion. Um, just not a big fan, man. I don't see a lot of defense there. I can maybe see the Eagles pulling one out versus the Cowboys if Cowboys come into a game with their heads held a little bit too high, and the Eagles just like it's just one of those weird games you never know. But I'm gonna take the Dallas Cowboys at home versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Week 4, they're at home once again versus the Carolina Panthers. This is gonna be a really good game as well. But I'm gonna take the Dallas Cowboys in this game. Once again, I do think that the Carolina Panthers have a lot of talent. I think that, but it's too young. It's too early. I think they're still a year or two away, and then depending on Sam Darnold, don't know how he's going to do. I know he's got some good weapons. I know he's got a good running back. The left side of the offensive line is not the greatest for Carolina. Um, and that defense of Carolina, it's decent. I think it's a defense that, can surprise this year a little bit. That defense was so young last year, just coming out of a college system. That's why they played so well, I think, because NFL offenses are becoming more and more like college offenses, more spread, and them coming into the NFL, I think really helped them. So this could be a defense where they're really good at times, but then they're really bad at times. They could be a top 10 at times and then bottom 10. It's just one of those situations that I see. But I'm gonna have the Dallas Cowboys taking this one. I think the Dallas Cowboys can run. I think of course the Panthers could do it. CMC, they could pass to him. They could do whatever they need to with him. Um, I'm gonna take that Cowboys offense over the Carolina offense, and that's the thing. At the end of the day, if that defense does show up as a top 10, I can see the Carolina Panthers upsetting the Dallas Cowboys week 4. But I have the Cowboys having a really good darn start, 3-1, really good start. Week 5, I don't have that changing. They're at home versus the New York Giants. I think that the Dallas Cowboys are going to beat the New York Giants at home. The New York Giants have a really good defense, but I'm not a big fan of that offense. And until we see a little more of that offense, I can't really see. I don't really see that Giants team being much better than last year. If you ask me, maybe a game or two. But until Daniel Jones is going to improve, if Daniel Jones is struggles just as much as he did last year, I'm going to see this Giants team being just around the same. I just don't see a lot with this Giants team, man. Yeah, that defense is really good, but if like I said, the lesson of the day is if Daniel Jones, improves and they have some weapons. The weapons weren't the problem last year, if you ask me. I'm not a big fan of the interior offensive line, but of course Saquon Barkley is going to help that a lot. He should help Daniel Jones immensely, which could make that big difference. But we don't know until we see it. So I want to take the Dallas Cowboys in Week 5 over the New York Giants. In Week 6, they travel to New England to play the Patriots, and this is going to be a really, really fun game as well. New England Patriots are a really balanced team, and I think those are the teams, as I was talking about Week 1 versus Tampa Bay at Tampa Bay. I think that the balanced teams can give Dallas struggles, and that Dallas team, really good offensively, but defensively they're not the greatest. They're still not the greatest, even though they made some additions. Even though they have made some additions, I don't think that defense is ready to take a step yet. Um, you know, yeah, the linebackers are solid. There's some solid pieces, and then we just don't know what happened to them last year. Maybe they get better this year. Maybe they come back. Maybe they just had a slump last year. And if that defense is, that defense doesn't have to be top 10 to be a really good darn team. If that defense is top 15, heck, maybe even top 20, this Dallas Cowboys team is probably going to be really darn good, and they're probably going to win the division. Week 6, yeah, I talked about New England, balanced team. I'm going to take New England until I see what that defense has to prove. New England has really good run defense, pass defense. Bill Belichick will know how to limit this team. I'm going to take New England Patriots in Week 6. Week 7 is bye week. Week 8, the travel to Minnesota. This is going to be a really fun game. This is one of the games I actually have circled for the year. The Minnesota Vikings are one of those teams that can be a really good team this upcoming year. But at the same time, they could be a really bad team. They're kind of really similar to the Cowboys, if you ask me. Two very high-powered offenses. but two defenses that are not the greatest. And, I think the Dallas Cowboys coming off the bye week is going to help them. But, Dalvin Cook is going to be able to run. I think that those wide receivers are going to do work in that secondary. I think that Minnesota offensive line is going to show a difference in, Christian Darrisaw and such. Man, I think that the Vikings are a really good darn team. They're really similar to the Cowboys, but the defense is the issue. So who do I take here? I honestly, I'm going back and forth right now. I think I'm gonna go with the Minnesota Vikings. I think the Minnesota Vikings defense has the potential to be a little better. The linebackers could be very nice. The cornerbacks have some potential. Um, Defensive line is going to be an issue, maybe, and maybe if that Cowboys offensive line is injured by now, maybe that'll be a blessing in disguise. I like the Vikings safeties, but you can't bank on that offensive line being injured. But I'm gonna take the Minnesota Vikings anyways. I think the Vikings are gonna outscore the Dallas Cowboys. Maybe a little bit of a surprise, but I had the Cowboys starting out really well. I have to have them taking a little slump, even coming out of the bye week. Week 9, they're at home versus the Denver Broncos. Once again, a really balanced team, but the quarterback is the issue. This Denver Broncos team wants to pound the freaking crap out of the ball this year. And as you can see, they drafted Javonte Williams, who is one of the best off-contact running backs by far that I've seen in a while coming out of the draft. But the quarterback for Denver, I think that's a big thing. And I think that's why the Dallas Cowboys are going to win this one. Yeah, Denver is a pretty darn balanced team. They're a pretty darn good team. But the quarterback, if you don't have a big-time quarterback or, a quarterback that can, put a game away, which I don't really think they have. They're two quarterbacks. I think Drew Lock is more aggressive, but he has to learn to progress a little better. I think Teddy Bridgewater is a little, he's not very aggressive. He's dinks and dunks. So, I think that's the kind of team that the Cowboys can be, even if they are balanced, because if the offense, because if that team can't put the game away, then I think the Cowboys are still gonna have a really good chance. Week 10, they're at home once again versus the Atlanta Falcons. This is a game, once again, this is kind of like the Minnesota Vikings game. Both defenses have the potential to be really solid. Okay, maybe not really solid, but both defenses have the potential to be, enough. And both of these offenses are really good, but I'm going to ultimately take the Dallas Cowboys offense because, the wide receiver group is much deeper. Yeah, maybe Atlanta has a much better tight end group just because of the addition of Kyle Pitts, but I think that Kyle Pitts is actually going to play receiver. I honestly think that even though he was listed as a tight end coming out, I think the Atlanta Falcons plan to play him mainly play him at wide receiver. I think that's why those talks came up with Julio Jones as well, because they have a guy who can come in and maybe not be as good as Julio. That I'm not going to say he's going to be as good as Julio, but he's a guy that they think that can be similar to Julio. I think that's just how I kind of saw their thought processes. But I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys. I think that Cowboys defense can be a little better, but I do like Atlanta's cornerbacks a little more. So, it all depends. It all depends. But I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys in that offense over the Atlanta Falcons offense. Week 11 at the Kansas City Chiefs. Boy, oh boy, is this going to be a high-scoring game between the Chiefs and the Dallas Cowboys. Not many offenses out there that you would take over the Dallas Cowboys, but I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs in this game. I think that Kansas City Chiefs defense is a little better than some people may think. I think they'll be able to get a stop or two. Maybe it'll be difficult, but anyways, I think Patrick Mahomes will be able to outscore Dallas' offense, even though their offense, may not be as dynamic. They have the most dynamic player possibly in NFL history. He can do it all, man. Patrick Mahomes, he's something else, and no matter what you do, that man will find a way to find an open receiver, find a way to score a touchdown, run for a touchdown, whatever it freaking is. And then that Kansas City defense, like I said, I think it's a little better than some people may think. I love Honey Badger. One of my favorite safeties in the league, one of my favorite players in the league, if you ask me. They have a decent defensive line. Their offensive line is much better. I really like the Kansas City Chiefs in that Week 11 game in Kansas City. Week 12, they're at home versus Dallas Cowboys are at home versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to take the Cowboys in this one. I'm not a big fan of the Raiders team. I think they're a very unbalanced team. Um, maybe not unbalanced, but it seems that's so young. It's just not ready yet, They still have a year or two. They still have some work to do with that offense or with that team, so I'm going to take the Cowboys. Week 13 at the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are a weird team going into next year, but I think I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys in this game. The Dallas Cowboys are a good team, and the Saints are going to be a decent team as well with Jameis Winston. But if you ask me, I'm going to take that Cowboys offense over the Saints offense. That Saints defense can be decent at times. I think it will be decent at times, but it's also going to have times where same thing as last year, was really bad at times last year. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys in this one. Week 14, they traveled to Washington to lose to the Washington football team, I think. I think that Washington, I was saying that the balanced teams were not the greatest at quarterbacks will, struggle to put it away. But, I think that I think that this Washington football team offensive line, or that defensive line, is going to be the game changer at home, especially as well. It's going to be later in the season. They're going to have more tape on that offense. They're going to, I think Zeke is going to struggle, Tony Pollard, whoever it may be. Maybe Dallas can play that small ball to beat them. But I don't know. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys in this one. No, I'm going to take the Washington football team in the first matchup versus the Washington football team in Washington. I think that offense can do just enough this game, and that defense is going to do just enough. It's going to be an upset. Week 15, they're at the New York Giants. I'm going to take the New York Giants in this one as well. I have them splitting with Washington and the Giants. Two teams with really good defenses, and both of the defenses are different. The Giants' defense is, big time off turn is much better in the secondary, but I think the Washington football team is much better on the defensive front, and I just think that the Giants and the Cowboys are gonna. I think that the Giants, Washington football team, and the Cowboys are all gonna split, and then Week 16, the Cowboys are at home, play the Washington football team. They're gonna have a little bit different of a game plan. This time they're gonna beat the Washington football team at home. Week 17, they're at home versus the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals are a fairly hyped up team right now. I'm not a big fan of the Cardinals, if you ask me. I don't think they're set. I'm not a big fan of Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury's system. I'm going to take that Dallas offense over that Arizona offense. But, Arizona is going to have a better defense, but how much better is it going to be? I'm not sure. I'm still not a big fan of the defense. Their corners are not the greatest. Teams that have good offense lines are going to be able to, are going to be able to score on Arizona pretty well, I think. Arizona has a really, really good front. Don't forget that. But I'm just not a big fan of that Arizona team, if you ask me, man. I'm not as high on them as everyone else. Week 18 at the Philadelphia Eagles. I have the Dallas Cowboys sweeping the Eagles. Not what Eagles fans are gonna want to hear, but I'm not a big fan of the Eagles team. I think that this Dallas offense is gonna be able to do what they need to do. Maybe if I do have them doing pretty good, so maybe they sit their starters and then Philly maybe beats them. That's a possibility, but we don't know if that's going to happen. I'm predicting as that's not going to happen. So I'm going to have the Dallas Cowboys in Week 18 over the Philadelphia Eagles. So I have this Cowboys team getting 10-11 wins, which I think is really fair. I think they're going to struggle versus more of the balanced teams like Tampa Bay, New England. Even though Minnesota isn't really that balanced of a team, I'm not a big fan of their defense. Just like the Cowboys, I think Minnesota is going to beat them. I think they're going to split with Washington and the Giants. Maybe Washington and the Giants, maybe one of those teams find a way to sweep them. Maybe the Philadelphia Eagles find a way to beat them. We really don't know. So that's all I got for you guys today in predicting the Dallas Cowboys record. Talking about every team on their schedule a little bit, giving you my overall thoughts. So I thank you for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show, where every fan is welcome. And that's going to be it for today's episode. So as always, I will catch you guys next time.